evening, Geek Nation. I'm George, and this is That Geek Show, the show where we talk about the latest and greatest from the worlds of collecting, movies, video game, TV, and tech. And with me, as always, to break all this cool stuff down is my brother from another mother, the statue fanatic, Calvin. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Doing good. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm like
you're doing great,
else.
Man. You got a badass looking Spawn statue next to you.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, man. We'll talk about that.
All right.
But yeah, I'm doing good, man. Like everybody else, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, mourning the loss. So yeah, we'll get to it.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. And then also with us is that guy who's running around and collecting every damn pop on the known to man. You got the man, the pop knight, Seth. Big Seth, how are you, Seth?
What's poppin', everybody?
What's up, Seth?
So first of all, I'd like to take this moment. I want to wish Calvin a happy Veterans Day. Thank you for your service, man. It's much appreciated.
Yes.
I also want to give a quick shout out to my uncle. So thank you for your service. And I also want to give a shout out to my boy, Sergeant Funko. Thank you for your service, guys. I really appreciate it. Without you, we couldn't live under the blanket of freedom that we live under. So thank you guys so much for your service.
Yes, I second that. All right. And then also on the mic, we have the ass-kicking unicorn herself. We got Ariel. How are you, Ariel?
Who's muted?
You got unmute.
I'm still muted.
There she is. The beautiful Ariel's in the house. How are you?
Oh, thank you. Hello, lovelies. I'm doing good, and I'm patiently and crazily awaiting Fallout 76.
When does that come out? That comes out this month, right? A few days?
Wednesday. Yes. I'm going to be on that like white on rice. I'm going to be all over it.
Sweet. All right, and then special guest today, we have a comic writer with us. He's a writer, and then what he has done is a few books, actually more than a few books, but we have Prey, we have The Machine Stops, and the I Holmes. And his name is Michael Lent. So, hey, Michael, how are you? Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me on.
Welcome, Michael.
Great, all things considered.
All things considered? Yeah. Today's been a rough day, huh? It's can't believe that Stan Lee is no longer with us.
I got to meet him a few years back at his con. Was that Stanley? I forget the name of the con, but
what is it, the Kamikaze Con? No,
Kamikaze, exactly. Yeah. And it was just shake hands. He was actually for a nanosecond a producer on Prey, which was put out by Marvel back in 2007. And then he put me on this panel, and it was like Michael Uslan's son from Batman, and then Eric Roberts, the actor, and then the creators of He-Man. It was a very eclectic panel, and we had a great time.
That's awesome. I wish I would have had a chance to meet him. I had an opportunity in Orlando a couple years back, and I don't know why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But
it's been a lifelong dream of mine too, man. I got even more nervous as the years went on, trying to make these cons that he was at, and it's very difficult to do. So, but yeah, that has been a lifelong dream of mine to meet that man as well.
Yeah. Well, he was as nice a guy as you would imagine.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about Stan Lee in a little bit and go over how he impacted us and things that we know him for, how basically how he impacted our lives, and we welcome the chat to chime in and say everything that you want to say, your thoughts and anything that you want to talk about. We'll address that. Right now, we want to talk about Michael here because I met Michael at San Diego Comic-Con this past summer, and he's a friend of my brother's, and he's very talented. I've read 3 of his books now, and he has others that he's done as well. It's not just these 3. So Michael, tell us, man, how did you get started in becoming a writer, or is this something that you just have always played with, or how did this all happen for you?
Well, I was one of those kids that if you asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up, I never had the same answer twice. And so I'm kind of living out that fantasy. I can do other people's jobs, but only for about 6 months, which involves that research. I really love the research and getting under people's skin, and in their head space. But I didn't know any writers growing up. And so I thought, if you had a facility for language, what do? You go to law school. And I was all set to do that. I got accepted in law, and I had kind of a panic attack. And I wound up on Wall Street working for the biggest bond firm. And I hated it. I was working 100 hours a week, and it was really a blessing, because if you do 40 hours a week on a job, you could kind of fake it, and you can kind of just go for years. And with 100 hours a week, you either love this thing and it's in your blood, or you got to get out of there. And we had these deals, and they would have closings, and I would sometimes go in on a Monday, and I'd still be there on Wednesday. I'd change out suits and like that. And one day I went into the bathroom stall after pulling an all-nighter for this little bond deal that was going. It was like nuclear power plants and bridges and all that. And we did all the legal documentation. And I looked down, I saw some black electrical tape. And I was so tired that I got down on my hands and knees, and I looked. And there were 3 sticks of dynamite behind the toilet. And I processed that. It actually took me about 2 weeks to figure out that, I could have been sealing pizza. And I said, life is really short, and you should do exactly what you want in life. And so I thought that might be like going off to Europe and writing the great American novel. I quit my job, and I traveled around backpacking for like 5 or 6 months. And all I kept coming up with these stories that were about 40 pages long, and I just thought it was me. But it turns out that those are a great size for a screenplay, or a great, even a comic book story. And I started reaching back to like the X-Men and so on. And I wound up, instead of going to law school, I went to film school, and my mentor was this guy, Paul Azarisk, and he'd run a couple of studios here. He also did like Westworld and Future World, and worked with Michael Crichton. And so, but he also did these like character pieces like Sophie's Choice and On Golden Pond. So he was like really showing me that you could come at things from character and then do something that could be a big summer event movie. So I got my master's in film down in Miami, which is where at the U. And so then I came out here, and I was working as a screenwriter. And then sometimes you would have things that would sell, and sometimes they didn't. But I just kept thinking, some of my stuff, it just seemed like it was a comic book. And I had this one idea, as kind of a Jaws aliens set off the coast of Southern California. And I showed it to somebody, and they said, well, I don't know if this is ever going to make it as like a Marvel or DC, but it's definitely a comic book series. It's pretty cool. And so I hooked up with a mid-level publisher, and that was, you guys might remember Dable Brothers, and out of Atlanta. And they were working with like people like George R.R. Martin and Linda, what's her name, the vampire one, Hamilton, I think, and a bunch of Orson Scott and so on. But anyway, at one point they said, well, we're not going out in production with Prey, and we can't tell you why, but just trust us. And a lot of people were threatening to sue them and so on, and I didn't. I just kept working on the book. It was a 7-book set, and then all of a sudden they announced that they were merging with Marvel. And so my very first comic book that I ever wrote was with Marvel Comics. And when I did my very first signings, I'm sitting here, and the person sitting next to me, which George R.R. Martin, and that was just before Game of Thrones, and he was about to blow up. So like people would come up to us. This was down in San Diego, maybe every about 40 seconds or so for him. For me, about every 4 minutes. And we traded stories and emails and phone numbers and all that sort of stuff. But within a year or so, I mean, everything, the land and the stars and everything had changed for him. So that's my very first book, defied conventional wisdom because it was with Marvel. And I guess I kind of broke all the rules.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. Perfect.
Yeah, talk about the stars aligning, perfectly at that for that moment. That's great. So this was Prey. This is
This was Prey.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the one that again, I had a producer, and at one point she said, I can attach Stan Lee. He doesn't really get involved with things too much, but his name, and with that, then we were able to attach Ron Perlman and Jeremy Renner for a while, and so on. And it was optioned this is the first year that it's not under option. And sometimes you come really, really close, and they're like, okay, we have 45 days to finance the film, and the money's going in the bank, and then we're going to be shooting in this location and that, and so on. So I think at some point something will happen with it, but you just keep moving and keep telling new stories.
Cool. See if we got any questions in the chat. I want to give a shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. We got 46 people up in here. We got Edwin Diaz. We got Carlos Torres. Seth, you're in the chat, bro.
I'm always in the chat. That's how I live my life.
Junior statue collector in the house. Roy Schneider, who's holding it down at probably 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Optimus Cubano. We got Dave Cassi. We got Danny Ferreira. Looking for my boy AFK. I don't see him yet. He'll be on here at some point, I imagine. Anyway,
we need Pinche for Oral A.
Oral A, yeah. Cracked me up with that. I don't know if you guys heard that the other day. This guy, Pinche Borracho, is one of our people that join us for almost all of our shows. And so he always comes into the chat going, Orale, MCE. And then Seth reads it, and he looks over at me. He's like, what the hell is Oral? And I was like, this dude. So he cracked me up.
Yeah.
So Michael, man, that's an amazing story, man. So Prey was your first book. Where does Time Stops fit in? Is that your second, or did I Holmes come after that, or what happened after?
We did a mashup Western series for Zenoscope, and that was Brimstone.
Okay.
And that took us through. That's the same time that Cowboys and Aliens came out. And it was, it was a very similar thing where the book, I got to work with people like Ben Templesmith and Greg Horn, and, it's just some really great artists. And then, it looked like that might become a movie as well. And after that, I did some assignment work. I still, screenwrite. I also produce films. There are all those $500,000 all the way up to $2 million. We're doing the first American animated horror film. It's working titled Malevolent. It's all done, but there's another film that just came out called Malevolent. So I think we're gonna have to change the title on it. But
yeah, I just heard that.
Yeah.
Man, those assholes, dude. They got nothing better to do.
Well, we were working on it for like 5 years. And I was in early, then I kind of went out of it, and then I came back.
So you can't. So there's no way of you being able to trademark it or anything like that, so no one else can use it.
No, if you have a movie title like say Taken, there's one from 1945 called Taken. There's a short film called Taken, and that sort of thing. So you just kind of look and see what's out there. It happens, especially if you got something that. Is pretty kind of generic. So Malevolent, that was a good title, but we'll be fine. And that we got to work with William Shatner on that, and Marina Bakarin.
Nice.
So nice, really a nice cast.
Man, you get to meet some cool people, and you also told us that you got to meet George Lucas, right?
Yeah, I did this film called If You're Serious, and I teach sometimes at UCLA summer session. And one of my students was from China, and afterwards she just had a 1-sentence premise, and which was that a group of strangers meet on the chat line to commit suicide, and they've never met each other in person, and they show up at this town, and they kind of find a reason to live. And I said, yeah, I'll work with that. So we wound up shooting that in Fengguan, China, which is like the Venice of China. Nobody's ever heard of it, but Fengguan literally means the phoenix. So it,
nice.
Is rising. And so we make this little movie, and next thing you know, it's playing all over the place. And then the Academy, they have different branches. Whenever you watch the Oscars, and they have, and now the Tech Awards in the basement, and they'll have a bunch of, nerdy guys like us that are up for these tech awards, and one of them are the sound editors. And we got nominated for a sound design award on this little tiny film that we made in China. And the presenter was George Lucas.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so we didn't win, but I did get to shake his hand. So.
That's awesome. I'm jealous. I'd just like to be in the same room with him.
What's the name of that? Because I actually want to watch that now.
It's available. I think it's on like Vimeo. We did sell a small distribution deal on it. It's called If You're Serious.
If You're Serious, okay.
Yeah, and it's I if you hit me up afterwards, I'll send you a link to it if it's still on Vimeo. And I was really proud of it. I think it's a cool little film.
Yeah, because the whole premise like that was like group suicide and everything like that, and changing your minds into character development. That's up my alley.
What I'm crazy about what you did is I Holmes, and I know George will agree with me on that.
I enjoyed that.
I Holmes was probably one of the first comic books I've actually read in probably about a year or two.
Wow.
And man, that thing just blew my mind. I mean, I was hooked from page 1 all the way to the end, and George can tell you I have the attention span of a gnat. So for something like that to hold my attention, that just speaks volume on your creativity and your work. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Actually, something you said in one of the previous podcasts, and maybe you say it a lot, but where you really are sick of formulaic video games, formulaic movies, and so on. And I just have always myself, like, I come at it from character. So then I try to avoid those kind of cliches. I see them as pitfalls. Sometimes that's kind of hard to do when you go down to Comic-Con. One of the reasons I really liked Comic-Con this year was it seemed like people were looking for independent stories. In past years, I almost stopped going because it just seemed like it was terraforming for talent for Star Wars franchises and Marvel franchises and so on. There was nothing wrong with those stories, but there's just a lot more voices out there.
It's great when something original comes out, and that's what we don't see enough of these days. And that's the discussion like we've had in the past where they're constantly remaking movies from our childhood. Come up with something original. Stop recycling the stuff. And I feel you really hit a home run with that, and with I Holmes, because to me that was an original story, and the plot. The plot twist was like, wow. I mean, that just blew my mind. But it started out in my mind going one way, and then it went a completely different way. And I mean, I was hooked from start to finish. So anybody that wants a really good read, they should read that.
So right, it's a female protagonist. She's 17 years old. She's got amazing gifts, but she doesn't know it. She lives by her wits. She's been a ward of the state. She's been in and out of trouble her whole life, and she literally doesn't have a name. She's just the letter I. And I wanted to just give her this incredible, not superhero destiny, but that she is somebody that is really important and her life matters.
How did you come up with the idea for I Holmes?
Well, it was a story. Sometimes you get brought in to pitch on things, and it was a pitch that I wound up, I forgot whether I didn't get to deliver it or not, and it just kind of it stuck with me, and I just kind of, but I love the old Sherlock Holmes stories, and it seems to me that every generation takes, it's such a kind of evergreen that each generation puts their own imprint on those stories. and that's what they're meant to be. So there's, I don't know, something like 2,000 adaptations of Sherlock Holmes. So starting with that as a backstory, I just said, you know, what if we were going to do that story in present day? What that might, you know, feel like. And again, as you said, there's kind of a killer hook and twist to it, and it's very, you know, Sherlock Holmesian.
Okay.
Definitely, and I'm sure with the next chapters in series or developing, you'll see the character development with her. And I know they mentioned that she's like a sociopath and everything like that, but you can see that she's trying. She just doesn't have the tools to maybe create those connections because, you know, as you said, she just has the letter. She doesn't know. She doesn't have a basis for her own history. And now that she has that little shred, then, you know, we can actually see this character flourish, which, you know, is going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah. So we've got Dave Cassie, if I pronounce that right, in the chat. He wants to know, who's your favorite superhero?
Well, I guess in honor of Stan Lee, you know, gosh, depending on where I'm at emotionally, it could be Spider-Man, it could be the Hulk. I think that, you know, through my childhood, Stan Lee gave us so many, but gosh, there were so many times I felt like the Hulk, and I empathized with that. And then, you know, in the other time when you're making your way in the world, that's Peter Parker. So on this day, I would say either of those two, which is my own duality.
I feel you, man. I relate to the Hulk too, because I'm just like in a rage of emotions, like 24/7. So,
right,
Michael, I have a question for you, man. Mike, as a writer, with all the characters that are out there, what character would you really love to write a story about? What character would you like to do in terms of writing their story? A new take on them.
Wow, Calvin, nobody has ever asked me that.
You heard it here first. MCE asking the hard-hitting questions.
Well, you know, we were talking before the show came on, and we were talking a little bit about J.K. Rowling's universe. And I went back and I've been reading with my kids. I got 3 kids, and we're the Earthsea series, you know, Ursula Le Guin, and that's kind of a precursor to, you know, the Harry Potter universe owes a lot to that, and there's a lot of big ideas there. So I guess when I was reading that, I thought about Doctor Strange, and I just said, you know, there's something that you could really go down the wormhole with that character.
Mm. And I love that you said that, because in reading The Machine, The Machine Stops, I can see that you writing something like that, because that kind of reminds me of that type of wormhole that you could go down.
Well, I did this series of graphic bios, and one of them was Stephen Hawking, and I didn't get to interview him, but I was trying to wrap my mind around like Hawking radiation and the event horizon, and how, you know, something that was approaching a black hole would just be stretched to infinity, and how our perception would be. And so when you go back and you look at The Machine Stops, you'll see some of Stephen Hawking in there, where we were actually playing with the laws of physics a little bit, and I try to imbue that. I also did a Stephen King book, and I got to interview him, and then I did...
Did you say you interviewed Stephen King?
Yeah, it was via email, and there's an apocryphal story that's not in his autobiography on writing, but there's this story, you guys may have heard of it, that when he was 3 in Maine, he was playing with another friend, and they were playing up on the railroad tracks. Do you guys know this story?
No, I don't.
I haven't heard it. No,
I vaguely remember something like this.
Yeah,
anybody playing by the railroad tracks can't be that, you know, it can't be that good. Someone's gonna get hurt.
If you're 3-year-old Stevie King, and his friend got his foot stuck in the track, and the train came.
Oh.
And the story is that he walked into the kitchen just covered in blood and didn't speak for weeks afterwards.
Wow.
And since it wasn't in his biography, I just thought, oh, this is just like some sort of like fan, sort of thing.
Right.
And I asked him, and he said, yeah, it really did happen, but Whoa. He said, I can't say that that's why I got into horror, because I don't remember it. My mother told me the story. So when the book came out, then we got a call from like the Washington Post and places like that, and they were like, finally, we know something new about Stephen King.
Maybe that was an inspiration for
that is pretty awesome.
The boy and the railroad tracks, and I'm just gonna remember the name of the song, "Lean on Me." What was the name of the movie?
Stand by Me.
Stand by Me. There we go.
Stand by Me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah.
Because the body was of a child who got hit by a train and was off the railroads. He may have not have remembered it, but maybe subconsciously he did, and that emotional, peak or that climax where all the characters or the boys see that body is probably maybe him interpreting his feeling of that time when he wasn't talking.
Right.
Absolutely.
The shock.
Hey, the Odd Couple Statue Reviews. Thanks for joining the chat, man. I watch you guys all the time. Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Yeah,
Mike, I've got one last question. I'll be quiet here. I was a big fan of the Machine Stop. So is there something in the works for you in terms of a novel of your own creation?
Yeah. Well, I'm working on 2 graphic novels right now that I can tell you about, and one of them is it's kind of a Beowulf Norse story. I wanted to encapsulate some of the like pre-Viking marauding. Like, I don't think that there was much about that, and it's a time where there were actually 2 houses of Norse mythology, and they were vying, the Vanir and the Aesir. And the Aesir were the warrior clan, and the Vanir, which we still have around there, they were the mystics and the spring rites and everything, and prophecy and everything. So you could have, at that time, one village, and they were adherents to the Aesir, and then there would be right next to a house of Vanir, and there would be a raid, and you might take slaves, and you might take a wife, and so on, but she might be a mystic. And I just thought, wow, this is really kind of a cool idea. Plus, the gods themselves, they kind of walked amongst us. And I just thought that this would be, you could just tell a story that hadn't really been done before. And in order to do that, I had to go back to all of the sagas. And these were, the story, Snorri Sturluson, from, like, he was talking about the 12th century. He wrote it at that time, talking about, again, pre-Christian. That story is called The Lynx, and like the cat. And the second thing that I'm working on right now with an artist, and so we finished book 1 of The Lynx, and that will again be kind of sort of everything that I know about my own heritage and so on, because I did one of those DNA tests, and it put me in Scandinavia, and I was marauding, doing bad things, I guess.
But they were actually really progressive when you think about it too, in some parts, at least with marriage.
Divorce. Yeah. A lot of women call it shots. I really love that. And then the second one is there's Hughes Mearns. He did it's one of the most famous horror poems, and that was 100 years ago. It's called Antigonish, but most people know it as The Man Who Wasn't There. Yesterday, upon the stair, I saw a man, he wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. How I wish he'd go away.
Yeah, I remember that.
And there's a few more stanzas, and I was taking a look at what's going on in our country, and I said, this poem is there's a duality, there's this kind of a schizophrenia, and I really felt like this poem spoke to some of the situations that we're going into now. And so we've been working to get it right on that. So those are the 2 projects I'm doing.
They both sound good. I want to see those 2 projects, especially with the Vikings. Love them.
Yeah.
So just to touch base a little bit back on I Holmes, we have we have the one story that you gave to us, and appreciate that. Is there going to be more stories in the works, or is this going to turn into another medium, or is there anything that we can expect from that?
Some and some. Yeah, I have another story that came out through Alterna, and they've gone to newspaper print. You've probably seen that, which has been very successful. And some of the stories lend themselves to, the old style newspaper print, and some don't. I'm still not, in on that, how I feel. But after the series came out, I'm right here in LA, so I know a producer that was on Empire, Fox series, and then CSI, and I'm trying to think, V, and what was that? There was an apocalyptic series on NBC that he was on, and they picked that up, and I wrote the script for it to be a TV series, and that was last year. The book came out last year. Then I wrote the series, the Bible, and the pilot script, and we took it around to a bunch of the studios, and I owe them a rewrite. That's where I'm at right now. That's so
cool.
much of. That's why you write comics, because of this other stuff, you could just be like 6 months, 12 months writing scripts, and and then just put them in a hole and bury them.
Yeah.
I would love to see that made into a TV show. That would be awesome. That'd be something I'd want to sit down and watch.
Me too. Thanks.
That'd be really cool.
So I gotta. So Michael, I gotta ask you a question. Have you ever what?
I bet he doesn't collect pops.
I wasn't going to ask him that.
Yeah, that was
Come on, man.
Oh God.
It's coming at some point. Just want to let you know. Hey, we'll get it out of the way for you, Michael. At some point in this interview, Seth is going to ask you if you collect pops.
No. I was actually gonna keep it professional tonight. Thank you, George. Jeez, man.
That is professional. That's your thing.
No. So, Michael, how do you determine what you're willing to write? I mean, do people come to you with suggestions and ideas, or is it something that you that you just decide to do on your own?
Yeah, it's some and some. It's always great when you get assignments, but a lot of times the way it works in Hollywood, especially, comics, I've sometimes done assignments on those too. None of the big publishers, but like indie books and so on. The one artist, Mark Renee, he was on. We were on an assignment together, and then you'd finish your work at 1 a.m, and you're still wired, and you just go, let's start talking, and that became the machine stops. He's like, I don't want this to end. Let's just keep moving on the next thing. And I go, well, I have this one little script, and that got us a bunch of top 10 indie books and so on. And then we rolled into I Holmes. It's the same artist. He's very flexible with his style. But then when you are doing as a screenwriter or a TV writer, you go and you pitch, and you're one of dozens of people. And if they like your take, you get to do an assignment, and then this, and this. But even when you sell things to the studio, which I have, you have about an 8% chance it'll actually get made. It's better now. There's more opportunities with Netflix and Amazon Prime and so on. So I think everything is changing. But for a long time, you could work for years and not see your stuff in production. So I just want to work, and I just want to keep creating.
Yeah, because you never know. I guess you're basically in a sense, it's just doing a whole bunch of stuff, throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, one thing is that you got to put something yourself on there, things that you care about. Otherwise, you just will never be emotionally invested. Especially if you're going to work on something like Brimstone. We were on that series for 3 years, and so if you at the end of 6 months you're burned out from it. You like Walking Dead, there's just explores so many things, and that's what. So the things I choose, I had this manager at one point that was bringing me all these slasher projects, And I said, I can't live in that headspace. I just got married, and and I have a daughter, and I just said I can't do it justice. And that wound up, he's like, but there's a lot of money, and I'm like, yeah, I just don't want my name next to it. That's all.
But you still get, these instances of inspiration, or I would call them triggers, right? I mean, for ideas, because I'm not gonna say right, but like even just driving and listening to a song, it'll give me a scene. It'll give me, I'll just birth a character right there. I'm like, okay, what is she doing? What is, what's the scene? What's happening in the scene, and then go forth from there, and then build upon that. I mean, I'm sure you have those instances, and then when you're creating or just even having an idea, like, do you just maybe have a concept, or do you create a character and then build upon that character to create a concept?
Well, it's an interesting process that I have, which is that I think there's a school of thought that all of us have a single theme in their lives, and we revisit it in all sorts of different forms. But it's kind of like, let's say somebody who's in a bad relationship and they break up, and then they go and they find that same person all over again, the same type of person. So they're obviously reliving something over and over. And so
that's every day for me and George. We can't get away from each other.
Sorry, George. So for mine, I realized, like, while I was still in film school, that my theme was the Lazarus Man. And that's the guy who is kind of dead to his own life. And then one day something happens, a brick hurled from hell hits him in the head, and he realizes the first day of the rest of his life. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, as I told you, I was on Wall Street, and that happened. There was a bomb behind the toilet, and you go, how do you quantify your life, and what does it mean? And you should do exactly what you were meant to do on this earth, and do it now. And don't listen to conventional wisdom, and be as DIY as you can be about it, and so on.
Okay.
Now, so you have that theme, but now you go and you find a character who thinks that you're full of crap. They're really likable, and they have a lot of attributes, but they don't buy into the theme. And the fun is the conflict that you're going to have throughout this story of getting them to finally acknowledge that you're right. So I don't want I never want my character to be a standard bearer for my own thoughts. I want them to challenge me, and I think that it creates, this kind of dynamic tension that readers can sense. And even if you do, just like a superhero film, and you go, well, I don't want to get all that into Lazarus Man and all that sort of thing. It should always be there so that you can kind of, dig a little deeper with the characters.
Kind of create more personal internal antagonists almost.
Right.
It's like a tug and pull in terms of ideals, and it's just like with anything or in terms of life, everything is kind of messy. Nothing is ever a straight line. It's screwed up and splattered.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mufasa wants to know if you could have an amusement park made or make an area dedicated to any genre of character, Harry Potter, anything at Disney, what would that be, Mike? That's what he said. That's Mufasa.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I guess I read a lot of fantasy, and then I jump over and I do a lot of sci-fi, and I'm always interested in, what is the future going to be? And fantasy always sort of has kind of a nostalgia to it. So again, there's those kind of dualities. So yeah, I guess. But I love being able to suspend disbelief. It gets harder as a writer. I was reading something last night, and I could see where it had to go, in terms of structurally. And sometimes I wish, it's kind of like X-ray vision. You kind of wish you didn't have that power, so you could just go with the flow.
Cool.
Awesome. You mentioned that you have kids and all that kind of, and all those things, which is pretty cool. But let me ask you this about collecting. Do you collect yourself, or do your kids collect? Is there something that you enjoy collecting at all in terms of this genre?
Funko Pops.
Yeah, no, I did, but then I got a 15-year-old, I got a 12-year-old, and then I have an 6-year-old. And, I found out we had all the like baby stuff in the garage, and I was giving it away, and I like CC'd my wife, and she came out and said, I have an appointment with the doctor this week, but I was going to tell you then, but we're going to need all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I thought I was getting my garage and all my collectibles back up. We had very early on where, I had a lot of Star Wars stuff, a lot of sports memorabilia stuff. My brother is in the Navy. He was a good career 20-year guy, so he would, hang out with all these sports legends that would come to the base and do signings. So I had all kinds of, Johnny Unitas football and all these great things, when I came home and my kids had gotten into, and unboxed everything, I'm just like, I can't be mad at my kids. So, despite what Seth says, and let the beatings ensue. So I put things up in the attic. I put things in the garage. Everything you see behind is really little. I'm actually in my kids' room, and where it's quieter, as you notice, and they get to collect. And when they get to a certain age where they can appreciate and stop just using everything as a hammer, then I think I'll pick it up. But right now, man, if you're gonna go the whole 9 yards, it's 3 kids, 3 karate classes, which is 9 sessions a week, and clarinet lessons and all that. So I just don't have the capital. I wish, like when I go to the shows, I'm like, man, I'd love that, and I think I will eventually get back into it.
Cool. Has any of them decided to follow in Dad's steps and become, do some writing, poetry, that type of stuff?
Yeah, much to my dismay. Yeah, no, because you're like, do something that's a little easier and not so time intensive and all that. And so then I see they're artists, they're drawing, and then my daughter writes, and she's won some writing contests, and I'm like, oh no, no, be an accountant.
I can relate to that.
It's difficult, especially if you have talent, or when you're in high school or growing up or anything like that, and you're like, I want to do this, I really want to do art, I want to go forward with this, but with best intentions you're kind of steered away, but then what could be also.
Yeah.
And for every individual, you have to make that leap yourself.
Right.
Although that brings me to a question though. You yourself know how hard it is to get published or even recognized amongst the millions of writers with their ideas and everything. But now there's new avenues of how people get published. Some with the ebooks, and also with comic books. Not necessarily comic books, but webtoon series. Now, where is your opinion? Like, should we still, to any aspiring writers or artists, should we go try and get the big publisher, or should we just go from the bottom up with webtoons or ebooks? Because there is pros and cons with each.
I just did a series of guest blogs on Comics Central, and there's a lot of independent voices and books there, and I think a lot of them are awesome. So like on a Friday night, there's nothing better than just filling up a shopping cart and not spending a lot of money and getting all these great stories. So I think you have to go for it, and if you just keep doing what you're doing, eventually you will get the Guardians of the Galaxy assignment and so on. And that does happen from time to time. I got sent up with Disney. There was a show that ran for, I think, like 12 seasons called Ice Road Truckers on the History Channel. And 1 year I got sent up to the Arctic to drive with the Ice Road Truckers. And that became a book. And so, so sometimes, but if you count on that sort of thing, then you'll be very disappointed. So do whatever you can. There's a lot of great artists out there, whether you go on Deviant or ArtStation or wherever you find. And so a lot of these guys are one-ofs. They know they can draw a landscape, but they don't know what happens next. And that's where you as a writer come in. And that's how, like, the Machine Stops came about, because, you know, this was a great artist, Mark Renee, he said, I don't know what to do next. And, you know, he was getting courted by Vertigo and a lot of places like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's just keep making things rather than talking about it. Like, sometimes you go, and I do a lot of panels, and people will come to you as fellow creators and they'll show you their work. And then sometimes you'll see them, they'll come up the next year. So it's been a year since Comic-Con, and they show you their book and it hasn't changed, which means that they are just kind of stuck, and it's a lack of faith on their own part, because they're thinking, well, when somebody else is willing to invest in the book, I'll move it forward, but they're stuck with those sample pages. You just got to just see it through, and don't let it's kind of a critic inside. What you have to do is get rid of the critic and just see the process.
Okay. And, that's definitely what I was thinking, like, with these, or with one of, like, I'll get these apps to get these comic books or just these webtoons to see, just different styles of art. And they're free. Yeah. But with it, with popularity, I see now some of the artists are coming to the discovery or highlights of the apps or anything like that. They're now getting their own panels, and now they're going to cons, and they're getting their networking, and they're really getting out there, because people are seeing, like, they're flourishing. You can see the development from one chapter to the next. So it's just really great to see, and the story itself and the art itself may not be what we would think of Marvel or Vertigo or anything like that, but something smaller, but still as genuine and still as fleshed out, story-wise as well.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Given the opportunity, Michael, if you were approached to write a screenplay for any type of superhero movie, what superhero movie would that be?
Oof. It'd probably be a Marvel Universe. I guess I relate to that a little bit. Gosh, I don't know. I kind of like to try my hand at a Thor. They're a lot of fun.
That Norse mythology.
When I have something real to say, like I don't know what you guys thought of Wolverine, but that seemed to me like something new to say about that character.
Hey, and for those of them in the chat that have just joined us, we are interviewing Michael Lent, who has done some really amazing work. One of my favorites that he has done a graphic novel of is The Machine Stops. And another one that the panel absolutely loved was I Holmes. So just so those that are joining us can know what we're talking about here.
Right.
True. Got Ray is in the house. Ray. Ray. Man. So So you said you've done other types of jobs, or that you feel that you can do other things. Is writing the only thing that you've done in the entertainment industry, or have you tried your hand at other types of things, art, or standing behind the camera or anything like that, directing?
No, I worked for Slime Sandwich, which is a game company based in Colorado, and they did a Scaps Agent, and then Chuck the Chilla, which was, for about a month, it was like the #1 iPhone app game.
What was that called?
A couple years back, yeah, Chuck the Chilla.
What did you have to do in Chuck the Chilla?
Some concept design. Mostly, for a while I was the in-house writer. So Scaps was a huge universe, and we were hoping that was going to be like kind of a Spy Kids kind of Indiana Jones, and so there were graphic novels for that, and I think I did something like gosh, I want to say like 12 issues I wrote, and then just creating the training videos and so on. Whatever they needed me to do, I did. So, sometimes chatter on the games and so things like that. And that was really fun because I would do like voiceover sessions that I would direct here in LA, working with actors that Jimmy. I worked with the actor from Jimmy Neutron that was Jimmy Neutron, which is actually a woman.
Oh, that's awesome! I used to love Jimmy Neutron.
Yeah, and one of the actors from Totoro, and I'm just trying, So it's not that hard to do. I'm in that. I met Mark Hamill in that guy. So you're working, doing voiceover sessions, and then I'm trying to think. And then a lot of producing. So I produce movies, and it's a little bit harder as a parent because you're going to be gone for a month or 2 months, on location someplace. So yeah, my wife Sonia, when I was up in the Arctic, I was all winter, and at one point I was like, I'm telling her, I'm like, oh, a guy froze to death, and then we went out on the ice roads, and it was 45 below, and 2 trucks wouldn't give way, and one of them was a fuel truck, and they sheared each other off, like sheared mirrors and everything. And so then they had to medevac the guys 100 miles, and it was, there was fuel out on the ice, and of course that stuff is going to eat through the ice, and it was really a dangerous situation. And there was like silence on the other end, and I thought I lost the satellite phone. And my wife goes, Sonia, which some of you guys know, she goes, yeah, well, these kids are driving me nuts. And I think she would have rather been in 45 below zero than dealing with the kids on that particular day. So I'm like, I think I'm going to be a stay-at-home dad writing.
So here's a fun fact, Michael. So our very own George Medina over here actually happens to do a very good Mark Hamill Joker. No. Maybe you can get him some work as a voice actor.
Really?
I'm gonna get George off the hook here. You just dropped Mark Hamill. Man, it's been Mark Hamill, George Lucas.
What are you doing?
Man. You've met a lot of the people that we kind of like idolize in the geek world, man. After meeting all those people, who have you met that you've been the most like blown away? They've just been that icon for you.
Ray Bradbury. I walked the small press with Ray Bradbury, and his enthusiasm and his humility is something that I try to instill in myself. That's like something that he just loved creators, and he loved to create, and that was just like that's pretty mind-blowing. And then among you're in LA, so you're gonna run it. When I first got started, I took a meeting with James Gandolfini. Most people know him from The Sopranos.
Right.
And that was pretty amazing. I met, Clint Eastwood. That was pretty cool.
Oh my God. That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I get to ask him, I said, was there ever a project? It seems like you can get anything you want made. And I said, is there something that you're pining to make that you haven't? And he looked at me and he squinted. He did the Clint squint. And he goes, pining? Just like that. Pining? And then he said, yeah, there's a book called Golf in the Kingdom. And he goes, and I never found a way to into it as a movie. So I rushed out and I looked at it for like 4 months. I couldn't see either. But it's just you don't know unless you put yourself out there and you kind of go through this curtain, and on the other side are other people that they just want to create too. And so then you come at them from the way that you always imagined you would, which is, I did this thing, George Lucas, and it's not Star Wars, but it's something that, maybe you'll check it out or something like that. And then
All
you
right.
just get to create.
So now that Calvin interrupted my moment, George, please do your Joker.
I'm going to interrupt it again.
No.
Hey, I did a little creeping here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but on IMDb, it says that you have an uncredited appearance in Tango and Cash.
No, that's one of those weird things. I don't know why they never ever change it. Also, I think it still says that my wife is named Ellen. My wife was like, "Were you married before?" And I'm like, we went to college. We went to college together. I'm like, when did this happen? Junior high. And from time to time, I'll send it in. It's such a weird, it's such a weird credit to have, and then it does throw people. So yeah, but no, there was another movie like that they gave me the same thing, and they removed that one, but not Tango and Cash.
Oh, don't say that, man. I love Tango and Cash.
Yeah, well, it's a classic.
I know.
It's just a little odd that they wouldn't remove it.
I was all ready to go now after we were done doing this, and I have it on DVD. I was going to pull it up and be like, "Hey, where's Michael?"
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
But
I'm trying to remember. One of them, maybe it's Tango and Cash, but I'm like uncredited as Gomez, and you guys are looking at me. I don't really look like a Gomez.
I don't know. You could kind of pass for it.
Maybe from the Addams family.
Was that a compliment, George?
No. I'm just messing around.
I'm right there with you, man. Because if I actually shaved off my beard, and because I'm completely bald, I'd look like Fester.
You actually do look like Fester, Seth.
Yeah, I'm saying
we're halfway to casting.
Done. Consider it done. I'm on the first flight out.
Oh man, this was awesome. So, Mike, I know you have things to do. We appreciate you coming. If you want to stay and hang out with us, we can continue going, or I'm gonna give you this chance. I know you got your family and everything. So, are you okay to hang out a little bit longer, or?
I can have a few. What time is it?
It's 9 o'clock our time, so I don't know what.
It's 6 o'clock my time.
Yeah.
I got a few minutes, and then I gotta take some kids to karate.
Okay.
Oh man, I got a good story about that.
All right, go.
Please.
My daughter, she's about to, test in and be a blue belt. But when she was just starting, she's like, she kicks like a gazelle, and she was telling me, I have this trouble with my, which kick was it? Snap kicks. And so I'm like, well, because I did some karate too, and I'm like, well, you do this, and it comes off the hip, and I stuck my hand. I'm like, take your best shot. Well, she completely whiffed on my hand and kicked me right in Thor's hammer. She dropped me like a sack of rocks. Oh, I never I wasn't crying, but it was like just.
I would be crying.
And I was face down, and I couldn't speak. And I've done a lot of sports. I've never been hit like that by a 12-year-old girl. And I'm like, and she's like, Dad, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, Daddy's never been so proud. You're gonna be fine. And she delivered, man. I was incapacitated.
Nothing says love like a roundhouse kick to the twig and berries.
Right. Just to remind you. We're all.
I have a question. Oh.
Oops.
But I have a question. What is your? Would you, with all the script writing that you've done for, with comic books and potentially screenwriting, and would you have ever considered screenwriting or writing for games?
Yeah, I did. When I was with Slime Sandwich for a few years, I worked on those, and then I did an Xbox 360. What was that? That was, and that was all the chatter. And what was funny about that is you put everything in all the lines that people say, get them, I'm hit, it goes into an Excel spreadsheet. So everything you say can only fit, like, I had a pretty high success rate. You turn it in, you don't really even know, and they'll go, oh yeah, we forgot to tell you, he's not British, we changed it, and he's now a Texan. And you go, well, you know, blimey, that's not going to work. And so then you would have like about a 70 or 80% of whatever you turned in for the dialogue. Mm-hmm. It was a driving game. And anyway, so then you would just go and you revamp it. But everything you said, you don't want to be too, you know, hasta la vista or something like that, because that really annoys players after a while, mm-hmm. you know. So there's a kind of an art to it. So for a while, but I had a chance to pitch on Call of Duty, and
okay,
yeah, that was a few years back, and yeah, you know.
And what do you think in terms of like people? I mean, I've always played RPG games, and for me, they've always been, other than books, and for me, they've always been a better medium to get a full or more enriched story rather than movies. Because with the movie, you only have so much time to do character development to show a story in 2 hours max. Right. 3 hours if you're Lord of the Rings. But but with like, you know, Naughty Dog with, you know, Beyond Two Souls or Detroit Become Human and things like that, they really are tackling maybe some fundamental ideas, or in terms of maybe racism or civil rights, or just, or even layers upon layers, but it all intertwines and does a better storytelling just because of the sheer hours that you're playing and has a, you know, investment in it.
Right.
So do you like, you know, I know when I talk about games and like their stories and their writing, people are like, you know, they kind of scoff at it, but I'm like, no, they have 60 or 50 hours, you know, taking a license maybe like Witcher and really bringing it to life. Not only do you hear the dialogue, but you actually see it visually come to life, and you yourself become enriched because you are that character.
Right.
Or even BioWare, which allows you to have your own take on your own story.
I think the potential is there. It's just, you know, I know with Slime Sandwich, they were trying to compete against games with budgets of $10 and $20 million, and they had a few $1 million. And so that is the main impediment. I like to be able to do things where I will pitch things to a game company, and we did. You know, we came up with a driving game after On Thin Ice, which was the you know, the Arctic Ice Road game, book, and then game, and then we did a comic. But if you don't get somebody to say, yeah, I'll give you $10 or $20 million or more, you can't do it. So I don't like to invest that amount of time. But I do see what you're saying in terms of the potential. I know my son plays on Splatoon on his Switch, and he shows me, like, you know, just the alternate universe and the potential, and it's like really changed his thinking about how he sees his environment. So I think games can do that.
Michael, I just want on behalf of MCE to say thank you so much for sharing your talents with us and talking about it. That was pretty awesome. And I know you got to get the kids out to karate. So we're gonna give you a pass here, and hopefully we can have you back on again, man, because I'm looking forward to some of the stuff you're doing.
I appreciate that. You guys are really cool, and I love the podcast, and I would love to come back. Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have a good night, brother.
Take care.
All right, do well.
Have a good night.
Right.
See ya.
Thank you.
That was awesome. I had a great time.
Absolutely.
That was pretty cool, man. I think he inspired me. I'm gonna go draw after this. I gotta get some shirts made for me and Seth. You know, gotta get some pop-off shirts.
I'm definitely gonna work on my art.
No, that was great, man. I love when we interview people and people are just you know, they're just very real and very down to earth, you know, and I like that, because to me that's what makes the interview fun.
Yeah,
it does. I think he's such a genuine guy, and I love his work, man. Reading the stuff that we read, and the people in the chat, if you have not read any of his stuff, it's available out there. You can read it. I Home, The Machine Stops is great. And what's the other one, George?
I Holmes.
Pray.
Pray.
Oh, yeah, Pray.
I've read 2 of those, which are really amazing stories. So please check that out and support him.
We've got AFK in the chat saying, paint yourself blue. You'll make yourself Papa Smurf Seth. And then we've got John saying that you need to make a shirt that says booty crystals.
Yes, that's one that I'm going to do, booty crystals. I got to figure out how to do that because I don't want to just write booty crystals on it. I was kind of thinking about having a booty and then have it like crystallized or something like that, you know?
All right now.
Hey, Gary is gracing us with his present.
What's going on, guys?
Puerto Rico in the
Dramatic
house,
angle.
man.
Dramatic.
That is a pretty good angle. I like that. And you've got your figures out. Oh, man, I love it.
Of course. Came
Love
out
it.
there.
It's not every day Eric gets to play with himself.
Dude,
so.
you have a Stan Lee figure?
Yeah,
Yo,
I do.
pull that up to the camera, man.
Is he in a wheelchair? Oh, he's in a director's chair.
Oh.
Let me see what I can do. I got him with the Spider-Man pose going on there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
That is cool. So, yeah, it's you know, it's kind of hard on days like this, just because it's like on one end I do feel sad, you know, Stan Lee passed. On the other end, we just interviewed a great writer, and I'm like happy that we had that. And then, you know, when I think about Stan Lee and everything that he's done, and all of the you know, all of the inspiration and everything he's delivered, he's brought to our, you know, the world. You know, I gotta, even though it's sad that he passed away, I gotta be happy that the man existed because of all of these things that he did, and he had one hell of a life, man. So
Dude, he will never ever be dead. His legacy will live on forever because it lives on through Marvel. It lives on through the people that read his comics, and you know, it just, you know, it's a legacy. It's a legacy. His legacy will live on, and he's one of those people that will never be forgotten. And you know, and that's it. I mean, he was great to the comic world. He was great to the superhero world. Everything, in my opinion, he touched turned to gold, and you know, and he was great.
let me ask you guys this: if you can pull out or have one thing that you would say that Stan Lee, that man impacted you, what would that be? Would it be a comic, a movie that he was appearing in, whatever? What would be your thing that you would take with you? You know,
mine is his courage, and that is because I'm familiar with his struggle to bring Black Panther to comics. And I've told people, you know, people know that I'm a little bit older than most people, so I got a chance to grow up with comics when certain things were cool and certain things weren't cool. And I learned a little bit about his history and his fight for bringing an African-American character to Marvel and to the mainstream as a superhero. And for me, as a young African-American boy growing up, there wasn't a whole lot of superheroes that I could have in my imagination, like there was a Superman or a Spider-Man. So for me, I love the fact that he fought for this character. He fought to keep the character on the screen, because many of you guys who've read some of the stories about this know that it wasn't well received in terms of its marketability, because it definitely is about money sometimes, but he fought for that, and I'm very grateful that he did. And fast forwarding into 2018, it is really awesome seeing that vision become what it is, and Black Panther being the third largest grossing movie in American history, in the world. So for me, that's what it kind of means to me personally. I love his courage to stand for what he believed in.
Yeah, and even with during the time when it came out, the Black Panther name for the comic was associated with the Black Panther group. They changed, instead of just putting it to the side and kind of, you know, canning the comic book itself, they just changed the name to be Leopard Man. But right after it was, you know, Hunky Dory, he changed it back, and he made it, you know, that this African kingdom was the most advanced. Like, he gave them such love too. It was he really was an advocate, like when I think in terms of difference with DC and Marvel, like DC you have these godlike idols, and you can't really reach them. But with Marvel and his creations, Spider-Man is a kid. He's relatable. In X-Men, for me it's, the civil it's the civil rights of these characters, their internal struggles, their trauma, their experiences. He was a person who kind of brought stories forward that were about people who were overcoming their demons, but
I
still seeing the light.
I totally agree. And with many of the characters that he brought to light, he brought some tortured characters to life that mirrored some of the social things that we were dealing with in society. And I like the fact that, him and Kirby were able to decide that they were going to take on the status quo and actually have those characters speak to our time and to what we were going through or what was happening in society, and point out sometimes some of the inequities in our society and some of the strides that we needed to make, and just create a thought that it weren't just superheroes that Marvel was creating or that Stan Lee and Kirby were creating. They were speaking to our social times. And I love that about this particular man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I admired a lot about him, was that the stories, rather than just creating heroes, like you said, they created people that we can relate to as individuals, right? So it wasn't just Spider-Man. He was also the teenager that was dealing with problems that we all could relate to as kids, and then we could see ourselves almost that we couldn't get bit by a radioactive spider. Although, God admit that, after I saw that, I thought, hey, I'm gonna go try to get bit by a spider and see if I can get some powers. Tell me y'all try to do that. Some of y'all, some of y'all
have. But it deals with. But no, you bring up a good point. Like, even though Spider-Man is Spider-Man, he was also Peter Parker. And even though you may not be Spider-Man, some individuals still will relate to the fact that my father or my uncle who raised me is no longer with me. It deals with loss. It deals with guilt, depression, disappointment, overcoming, no, well, bullying. Oh yeah, bullying or any, all these life problems, not making enough money, and just all these struggles. And it makes you root for the character even more because they're doing what we wish we could do, overcoming it, grinding through it, and that's what makes them special.
Eric, you're a big fan of Captain America. Why? Why?
Well, it was Jack Kirby who created Captain America. Stan Lee kind of took over a little bit once they left Marvel. But as far as why I love Captain America, it's because he started off as somebody with no powers, just this kid that got bullied but always stood for something. And when he got his powers, it just enhanced that side of him tenfold. And to me, it makes it relatable. I'm love Superman, but I'm not a fan because can't really do anything to him. I feel like I can't connect with a character like that. Not a knock on Superman, but I just feel like Cap is just my guy. But to get back to the question at hand, as far as what Stan Lee represents, I think you guys both answered eloquently as far as what he brought to the table, as far as creating all these characters. But the impression he left me when I went to go see him in Orlando, I was in line waiting to get this poster signed. And there's this old man that's getting pushed on a wheelchair, and everybody lost their fucking mind because they thought it was him. It wasn't him. 5 minutes later comes this 93-year-old man at the time, runs up on stage full of energy, just waving his arms around, just saying, screaming, super excited, full of energy. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, he doesn't have to do this anymore. He's made, but he's out here catering to all of these fans. And when I got the chance to interact with him and he signed this poster, he was just joking with me, laughing with me. And then when I actually got the chance to take a picture with him and I had him hold this figure in his hand, before I left, he said, "Hey, do you mind if I keep this? Because I kind of like it." And it's just that wit at that age and just how he had it together. Like, I was just, I said, "No, I'm sorry, Stan. I love you, but I'm keeping it." But just knowing that at that age, he just kept going. That's, to me, that left an impression.
George, did you show a picture of that?
I couldn't get it over onto the screen. I was I didn't get time to get it done. Sorry. Sorry. I
Yeah,
was
it
gonna
was
roast
really
you a little bit though, because when you were there taking the picture with it, now I gotta find it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all keep on talking. I'm gonna look for it.
When I saw that, man, I was so jealous because that has been a childhood up until right now dream of mine to meet Stan Lee. And Eric, I saw that picture before. Now you showed it once before, and I was very jealous of that picture. And like then today when you showed it, man, I mean, you can't help but feel emotion about it because this community that we're in, man, with the stuff that we love to do, and you feel it. And I can't explain it to people who aren't in it, but you feel it. So I'm really happy to be on this show tonight, talking to people who get why we do this. I am mourning.
Yeah, no, he was a great man. He's gonna be missed, and but he lived a hell of a life. 95. Absolutely. I mean, how many people reach 95?
Absolutely. And you said 93. That was just a couple years ago. He was
it was 2016 in Orlando.
Yeah,
he was at MegaCon, and I was like, I need to get up there and I need to see this guy.
What about you, Seth? What are you thinking?
You know, as far as what I'm thinking, I mean, you know, I loved his comics, you know, because the comics I always felt, whether it was the Hulk, Spider-Man, you know, Wolverine, it was always maybe him telling a story that was maybe in an extension of himself. And, you know, like like we were saying, you know, like Hulk, you know, who was, you know, maybe he could have been in a rage, you know, like really enraged and having a rage of emotions. And, you know, and maybe that's what, you know, got him to write that. And I mean, and I can relate to that too, because, you know, I'm always angry. So, you know, you know, and then also with, I mean, God, man, I just, you know, it's like I'm like so flabbergasted. It's like I can't even think straight. It's like so, it's like so depressing.
Look at
Eric, you look a little stiff, bro. You look like
leave Eric alone. George, we have to come for you right now.
Okay, to my defense, they said do not touch him.
Eric.
They said do not touch him.
Eric, don't defend yourself. You're standing with Stan Lee.
Okay? Exactly. They're like, I'm like, screw this. I'm putting my hand back here.
Hey, no, it's cool. It's cool. I'm just saying, you know, a little starstruck. That's cool.
I was.
No,
and I was just like,
Hey, I would be the same way. I'm just playing with you, know. I don't gotta be all like sensitive with it. Hey, don't defend yourself. Relax, man. That's awesome.
I'm so happy right now.
Stone face holding it in.
My very own MCU crew with Stanley. I would have been just as pretty mortified probably to be there. I would have been the same way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the people like right before you go up, they're just like, don't spend too much time talking to him. Don't touch him. You know, because obviously it's an older person. He's going through so many people. You know, they just want to go. So I just trying to take my time and enjoy it.
That's awesome.
The 5 seconds that I had.
I'd probably cry like a bitch.
All right. Of all of the cameos that Stan Lee did in a movie, what was your favorite cameo that he did?
Oh man, why did you have to say a movie? Because I was going to say the Universal ride.
Oh, my favorite Stan Lee cameo is not in a Marvel movie at all.
Okay, all right, my bad. Any cameo in anything, all right? So that way Calvin could Universal.
My favorite Stan Lee cameo was when he was in Mallrats.
I was just thinking that.
But that's a movie.
Yeah.
I said cameo. I said but I said not a Marvel movie.
Oh, you did say not a movie. Okay.
Mallrats is not a Marvel movie. When Jason Lee's talking to him and he's trying to pick his brain about like all the sexual parts of the superheroes, he's like, Reed Richards, does his thing really expand? And then he's like, the thing is his dick orange? It's like,
oh my god,
you know,
yeah. And he's like, I think he needs help.
Yeah.
Right?
I think your friend needs help. He's really fixated on these superhero sexual organs.
That's awesome.
Phallic objects.
Yeah.
My favorite cameo was in the Iron Man movie when it was Iron Man. I think it was when he mistakens him for Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, Iron Man.
That was
Iron
great.
Man 1.
Yeah, that was great.
He's like, hey, Hef.
Yeah.
My favorite is.
I still kind of like the Civil War one when he's like Tony Stank.
Yeah, Tony Stank.
Yeah.
My favorite is the one where he's in the library.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, with the headset.
He's just, and you can see how joyful he is. I'm like, oh my god, he's cinnamon roll.
Yeah.
It's just all this crazy crap is behind them.
That's awesome.
Hell, he even had a cameo in the Spider-Man game. I'm like, oh.
He had a cameo in Big Hero 6. He had a cameo.
Yeah, Fred's dad.
He played. That was great, man.
So George,
I wear my underwear inside, outside, reverse.
That's awesome.
George, you've been to Universal. So the reason why I mind is how many times does he appear on the Spider-Man ride? Every time I go with my friends, we try to count how many times he actually appears, and we always disagree at how many times we see him.
Man, I don't know. How many times is he on that ride? I haven't been on Spider-Man in years.
5 every time I go, but everybody has a different number. But it's a really cool ride if you ever go to Universal because he makes like 5 or 6 cameo appearances when you're doing the ride.
Okay. Yeah, Spider-Man was an awesome ride back when I haven't been there in a while. It's been
Edwin Diaz's best cameo was Deadpool.
Oh yeah, get away, Stanley.
The strip club. Yeah, that was a good one. Barbara Lopez is saying the Hulk when he drinks the infected drink.
Yeah, that was good too. Oh man, that's awesome.
The strip club in Deadpool was the best. Now coming to the stage, Chastity.
What was his appearance in Deadpool? I don't remember.
He was the DJ at the strip club.
Yeah. The DJ at the strip
club.
Yes.
I liked him in Thor Ragnarok when he was going to give Thor the haircut, and Thor's like, no!
Yeah. I like him also in the first Thor when he has the truck and he's trying to pull the hammer with the truck and he pulls the hitch off of it.
Oh, yeah.
That was great, too. Also, when he has the drink in Age of Ultron, remember that they're drinking. Thor has his drink from Asgard, and then he's like, "I can handle it." I was in World War II, and he takes the drink, and then he's like knocked out, and he's just like, "Wow."
He dragged out.
No, he wasn't knocked out. He wasn't knocked out. He was just sitting there. He was going Excelsior.
Yeah. That was great.
Listen, I don't think honestly say that there was one cameo we all liked the best. Everything he did was the best. And
so David Zarita is saying that we're still going to have cameos in the future because James Gunn shot extra ones with him for future films.
That's going to be awesome. I think when we go to the movie to see the next Marvel movie, I think I'm going to predict something. When he shows up, everybody's going to start just giving a freaking round of applause.
Absolutely. Now that's going to happen. Every time he comes, we're going to have a roar.
Roar.
Yeah. I know I'm going to get goosebumps when I see it. It's going to be great.
Right?
I'm going to cry.
Hey, Fate's in the chat. What's up, Fate?
We got Candyman RIPs. Like, what's up, guys? Just realized you were live.
Nice. Fate did a review of the new Batman premium format. You guys should stop by, give him a watch, check that out. It's pretty cool. He has this cool intro at the beginning that I liked, so definitely check him out. Fate? Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, I'll check it out right after this show.
Yep. So it's cool. He gives a lot of close-ups when he's talking about the statue, which I like. So that's cool.
But did he do a cool cape sculpting video like you did?
I'm sure he's gonna do something with it, man. Fate loves Batman, so.
Cape, George, you've raised your cape level game like to up here. I don't think what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was my first time doing that too, man. Yeah, I couldn't put that down because I saw so many people saying, "Man, it's like that cape looks like crap. That cape's bad. That cape bad." I'm like, all right, I got to do something about this. Oh man, dude. Yeah. Okay. So Captain Picard says I will be on the USS Excelsior on my next away mission. That's awesome. Excelsior. I'm gonna miss that.
It would be really nice to see, like at San Diego, if we go or don't go, or New York or whatever, they do something really like over the top to honor him.
Yeah.
Oh, they probably will.
That would be amazing to see something like that. I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'll miss him saying, "Going, hey there, true believers."
Yeah.
I'll miss that. That was always good. That always got me excited when he would come on and say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
crazy. Why doesn't he like my shirt? What the hell?
The gray standard.
I like your shirt, Calvin.
I actually got the same shirt as George. I'm about to change now.
Put that on, man. probably make it look better, Calvin.
I mean, it's funny. It's funny to be honest with you guys because we didn't plan this at all. But it's funny how all of us are wearing Marvel shirts.
I planned them. Well, I didn't plan that all of us wear it. But I had to wear Marvel in honor of today, man. If I had a Stan Lee shirt, I would be putting it on.
And mine has the entire universe on it, so that he's pretty much responsible for. So that's why I wore it.
In fact,
I'm
gonna go find a Stan Lee shirt when we get off this too. That's another thing I gotta do. I gotta write down this. Where's my pen? Things to do.
A
Stan Lee shirt.
Stan Lee shirt.
There's actually a slew of Stan Lee Funko Pops. So they did one from his cameo in Guardians of the Galaxy. They did one for Captain America, the first Avenger. And then they also had con exclusive ones too, which people when he was there at the con, people would buy it and then he would sign it. And then that's the other thing too that I always liked about Stan Lee. What he did is that when he was at the con and he was signing stuff, they would always have someone there to give you a certificate of authenticity.
Yep.
Which was really cool. A lot of people don't.
For this.
A lot of people don't do that, which is really awesome of him to do.
You know what a show I used to like is because Nicholas McCure is saying, anyone ever see his superhero TV show? I don't know if he actually means the one where is that the one where he talks to or he kind of interviews a comic artist? Is that one?
No, there was another one that he did where people were like training to become like superheroes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what the name of that show is called. But yeah, like you would show up as your character, and he would be like, yay or nay, and try to help them work on it. And I guess it was kind of like American Idol for superheroes.
Back in the day,
basically.
Back in the day,
Cuban Beast, you finally made a live show. Thank you for joining us, man. Awesome.
Back in the day, Stan Lee used to do a TV show. I don't know if it was on TV or it was just made for VHS, but he used to do a show where he interviewed a comic artist, and he interviewed Jim Lee, he interviewed Todd McFarlane. I think even he did a couple others. Those are the two that stick out of my head right now. I used to love that, because it was cool. Growing up and drawing comics, you never get. It's really hard to meet these guys, right? So having that done was great, and he would sit there as they're actually drawing something and talk with them and everything, and it was awesome. So yeah, it's a lot of things I'm gonna miss about this guy.
Right. Hey, Eric, is that Stan Lee figure? Is that the Sideshow 6 scale?
Nope, that is the Hot Toys 1/6 scale.
Oh, that box is awesome.
That box is pretty dope.
Yeah,
I had so many opportunities to buy that, and I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Now I wish I would have bought it.
Yeah.
Now we're all gonna go find it. Although right now on eBay, everybody's capitalizing.
It's $1,100 on eBay now.
Yeah, man, people are going nuts.
That was the show. AFK just it was called Superhumans.
Okay.
That was the name of the reality show. I don't know if it was a reality show or not.
Kind of like the other reality shows like MTV had, but it was directly with him hosting it.
I should have gone on that show.
I remember there was a lady who was like, she was a big girl, and one of her things was eating food or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I wanted to do. I would be called the ingestible bulk.
She like the goal was to basically run from like top the backyards to get to the other point A to point B, and she had donuts on her utility belt, so it was German shepherds that you had to avoid. And she's like, okay, I got this. So she took a donut and threw it, and the freaking dog was like, yeah, and she's like, damn it.
They're not kidding. They're jacking up all the prices on these Funko Pops.
They are.
For Stanley.
Yeah.
Oh, it's expensive
Like,
shit right now.
I just typed it in and it's like $24, but when I click on the link, it's like, oh, it's now $68.
People are going crazy for that shit right now. There's a bunch of waffle groups that I'm in right now, and actually a few of them posted. They're saying if you try to post any Stan Lee Pops for raffle, you're going to be denied.
Yep. I love what Pop Culture Face said. Face said that the real fans already have their stuff. I totally agree with him.
Absolutely.
They already have their stuff, so they're not sweating it.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, now it's just going to be people that are. I wouldn't even say that people necessarily are looking for it now, so they have something that will be worth something more in the future. Like me myself, I would just like to have something. It's because to honor today. If I could buy something affordable to honor this memory today of him passing, I would buy it. So I'm gonna go look for a T-shirt.
And up in my room, I have one of my favorite characters, Silver Surfer. He signed my CGC copy of that. So I think I have something signed by him. And like you said, if you're a fan, you probably already have something.
Yeah, it's cool.
But you do have stuff, man. You've got Wolverine, you've got Captain America, you've got Spider-Man statues.
Yeah, something that directly connects. All these things actually directly connect me then. I just mean something that has him on it, like whether it be
you want something personalized.
No, just like something that had like I would get a shirt that has a Stan Lee's face on it and all that, and maybe some of the comic characters around it if they have something like that. I know there was a comic back in the day, or it was a piece of art that had Stan Lee's face, and then it was like sectioned into like different heroes. So like you'd see like Iron Man, and Spider-Man.
That was on the. They did that on the. Remember the Marvel cards that were in my office the other day?
Yes, they had it on the Marvel cards. Right.
On the Marvel card, and he's called Mr. Marvel.
Right.
And it has where his face is broken up into different superheroes.
Yeah. See, I would get a shirt like that. I think that would be cool.
That would be a dope shirt.
And I'd have that. But that's what I'm talking about. And if they had something affordable, I'm not going to run out and go spend $1,000 on a figure just because of that. So that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I can't believe they're flipping it for $1,000. And are people actually paying?
I don't know.
Probably.
No, the most they paid is like $700. I saw that.
This week's pop off episode, George. I spent $1,000 on a flocked Stan Lee.
You would do something like that.
Probably.
I just realized the only thing I got of Stan Lee is his book on how to draw comics. So I do have one thing.
Tracer.
No.
All right. So
I only have Stan Lee. What is that? Pop Culture Fate. I only have Stan Lee Pops and How to Draw the Marvel Way DVD. That's awesome.
Did Fate has pops? I didn't know he collected pops.
Yeah.
Fate has pops.
Fate does have pops.
You're a good man, Fate. You're a good man. You're all right in my book. Thumbs up.
So, yeah.
All right. So what else we got? I see we got on your graphic. We got Warcraft Reforged.
Yes, Reforged. So if you guys have ever played World of Warcraft, or if you've ever played World of Warcraft, I don't know how many of you guys have gone far enough back, like my old ass, and have played the original Warcraft and Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3.
I have played the original in Warcraft 2. Yes.
Okay. Warcraft 3 was one of my favorite of those games because at the time it had the best graphics compared to the other two. It was the last version that they did of the real-time strategy, I think is what that type of game is called. System. So what they've done now, and they announced this at Blizzard, and this got overshadowed by the whole situation with Diablo. They're bringing back Warcraft 3 and they're remastering the entire thing to bring it up to date in graphics. And I think the story is phenomenal. So if you guys have ever wanted the opportunity to play through an amazing story, you guys should play Warcraft 3. It is fantastic. So amazing.
I think the storyline of Arthas is my favorite thing regarding World of Warcraft. After that, everything they did after that is brand new because when they first came out with World of Warcraft, it was all based on the RTS.
See,
so
if you like Arthas, you should definitely play Warcraft 3 then. Because this is how Arthas becomes the Lynch King. It brings you around through there. So really good story. They introduce you to not just Hellscream. Well, Hellscream gets introduced earlier. The orc. Why am I drawing a blank? The chieftain, the guy that becomes the chieftain. Help me out.
You're talking about Thrall?
Thrall, yes. They introduced you to Thrall in this one. And then other characters.
Thrall, you got Jaina, you got everybody. You got everybody there. They also said they're gonna add stuff that you did in the instances, which are 5-mans. Sorry, throwing out World of Warcraft jargon. So they're bringing stuff in from that game into this game to kind of spice it up a little bit. So people that have played World of Warcraft will have a more expanded experience if they haven't tried out Warcraft, the RTS.
Yeah,
so
it's fun, man. I really suggest that you guys check that out. And I don't think it's going to be that expensive. I'm going to rebuy it. I'm going to play it again.
$29.99.
Look at that. Perfect.
And then if you want the extra Blizzard goodies, it's going to be $39.99, which I think it gets you a mount in World of Warcraft, and you get a card back in Hearthstone, and then 4 characters in Heroes of the Storm. So
nice.
Yeah.
Eric, I had to take a screenshot of your setup and you there, man. That looks pretty cool.
Thank you. I had to try a little bit because, I mean, every time I'm on camera, it's just like I moved everything around, my TV and then my freaking closet, and then that's it. And then maybe some pops in the corner. So yeah.
With it staying in line with Warcraft, I found this sculpt of Grom Hellscream, who's my favorite orc in the game. So I just want to share with you guys that. Take a look at this. This thing is awesome.
You're my favorite orc in the game.
Thank you, Seth. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, man.
Check this out, guys. This thing is
badass.
sick.
That thing is dope.
Yeah. So this is a throne piece, obviously. What I really like about it, and now the only thing about this picture here that I'm not getting is that he only killed one of these demons. He didn't have 2, so the fact that it's making up both sides of the throne is a little bit off. But it looks cool. I like the symmetry in it. So
no, that's pretty badass.
Right?
I honestly hope they make another movie. I know the movie wasn't that great, but it has so much fan service, and seeing all the areas that I played in the game come to life, it was awesome. I'm not gonna lie. So hopefully they do the Thrall, or not the Thrall, but I'm sorry, the Frozen Throne storyline.
That would be cool if they did something like that.
If they do that, that could be pretty cool.
Hellscream,
George, remember when we saw the trailer for the Warcraft movie, and we were laughing because when the dude like jumped on the dragon or something, they stole that from like another movie.
Jump on the dragon. No, the music I think is the only thing that they took. I don't remember them stealing from another movie. Can't remember right now, Seth.
It's okay, man.
Grom Hellscream is one of the major orcs in the video game. So, and he's my favorite orc because he was the first to drink the blood of, I think it's Manorth, or is how it's pronounced, or Manorth. It's hard for me. Manoroth. He's the first to drink the blood. This is what gave them the fell, and they became the bloodthirsty orcs after that. And he broke himself of this and killed that demon. And that's shown in Warcraft 3 how that happened. And when I saw that, I was like, this guy is dope. So,
he's a badass.
Yeah.
Hey, Fade and Daily want to know what scale is that?
No idea what scale this is. I don't have any information on it. I saw this as a digital sculpt today, and I felt like I needed to share with you guys. So, hopefully...
George felt like he needed to go full orc.
Yeah, for the Horde.
I'm still trying to get that guy from the Blizzard statue series they have.
That is an amazing
piece. You
piece.
did an unboxing and you got rid of it.
Yes, I did get rid of it. Yes, I regret that. But
they do have pretty good pricing.
On camera, Calvin.
What happened? I know, right? Calvin's got to be the man. You got rid of it. I'm judging you.
Hey, I missed that. What did you say?
I said, way to call him out on camera for getting rid of it. Fucking guy over here putting him on the spot like, you know what? You got rid of it? Boo this man.
Fate says, I'm going to get George a custom pop, Tony Stark's hair, and an MCE shirt. Trying to tell me something, Fate?
You look like
I think George should do freaking Tony Stark for Halloween next time. He can pull it off.
I got half the armor already done. Trying to finish.
No, I'm talking about like just the glasses and everything. You got the hair, you know what I mean? Just like you got the swagger.
I make fun of him all the time when he comes into work. I tell him he looks like a Mexican Wolverine.
Okay, that's my name's Jeff.
my name is Jeff.
Man, yeah. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, man. So I'm happy to be able to share that with you. I wish I had more information on it. I really don't. So
instead of saying, "Hey, bub," he'll be like, "What's up, SA?"
So what else we got? How many of you guys got a chance to check out The Outlaw King? Netflix.
No.
I have not checked it out, but I'm gonna assume you probably didn't like it as much from some texts I've seen.
Yeah. Not really happy with the way that story played out, man. So if you guys don't know what The Outlaw King is about Robert the Bruce. This is a true story about the the figure in history. You guys probably know him better from the movie Braveheart, which starred Mel Gibson as William Wallace and Robert the Bruce. I can't remember the actor that played him, but was this young nobleman in that movie that in the movie he's portrayed as betraying Wallace. But in history, he actually just never showed up to that battle of Falkirk. So my thing with this movie is, and the reason why I didn't find it to be that great, was that it was, at least in the trailer, gave you the impression that this movie was about a man who headed a rebellion against the King of England, and he did do that. But the showing of the movie was slow paced, and they didn't really show any of his victories until like the very end. It mostly was just portraying all of his defeats. So it was really hard for me to stand behind this guy like that. And then I look up, because you see Braveheart, and William Wallace. You're like, man, that movie was awesome. And then I come to find out that Braveheart was completely not in line with history, like at all. Like, really.
Are you saying you watched a movie that wasn't true to history?
Yeah, it was completely false. But I thought that at least there were some parts. I understand that movies have a dramatic license, right? You need to have some of that to get you some kind of thing. But I mean, there were things like in Braveheart, the French woman that was married to the king. And this time in history, she was like 5 years old. She was never married to him at this point, so she was never in the movie. The Battle of Stirling was over a river and a bridge where it took place, but in the movie, it's shown to be taking place in a field. And then other things that were just historically inaccurate.
It's called being a loose adaptation.
Very loose adaptation. But what Braveheart brought to you was emotion, and you really could stand behind what the whole story was. There's a lot of people that agree with me on that, and I feel that just didn't happen with the Outlaw King. So my question is, would you guys prefer a movie that is completely factual about history, knowing that the story is blah, or would you like them to take some creative liberty and maybe change things up to give you more of an entertaining movie?
Well, Calvin would know, because Calvin's our historical fact checker, since he was probably born around that time.
That's messed up.
I cannot believe you decided to be like that. That is just rude.
I love you, man. I love you, dude.
I would rather read a book to find out what history really says instead of depending on a movie to tell me that, because I'm just well aware that in order to make it entertaining for the masses, there are going to be creative freedoms taken. So I just expect that. Loosely based on a true story, that's just the norm.
I don't like words, so I'm good with movies.
Give me pictures.
I'm with Seth. Exactly. Man. Give me a graphic novel or a movie over. I mean, although I'll check it, just like I checked the Braveheart, but I don't want to sit and read an encyclopedia.
See spot run.
I mean, and that
I don't mind a historical accurate movie. In terms of liberties that they can take, small liberties just to, in terms of dialogue, but actual key points has to be the same. So it's more of just dialogue you can play around with. That you can introduce, I'm assuming, because I haven't seen it, but I'm assuming it's very historical piece. It's very like full into the drama, where you have something like, you have Braveheart, which is more hack and slash.
So what I'm asking, let me ask you this then. If they stuck to the spirit of the story and the theme of the story and even took those liberties, would you be okay with that? Or it has to have these actual facts in it? Because sometimes it's more about, in my opinion, the theme of what the story is about.
That's what I'm saying. That's how I feel Braveheart was. I wouldn't consider Braveheart being a hack and slash movie. I would consider that being an inspirational story.
Absolutely. And did they stick to the theme of the story? And if they did that, when you're talking about cinema, I'm okay with that. I'll just read history to find out the facts. If I would like movies to encourage me to go find out more.
Exactly. And then my problem here is that I didn't feel that way about this guy. In my opinion, when I saw this movie, I couldn't even sit there and say that this is a man I would like to be like. It's because, I mean, right off the bat, he loses to the King of England or not, the King of London's troops over like a really stupid battle. Which if you ever see it, you're gonna see how really bad it was. And then on the heels of that, he gets tricked again by his by other Scotsmen that don't feel that his claim to the king to the crown is legitimate. So they try to kill him too, and just are picking him off little by little. Then he goes to meet the Irish, and the Irish look at him and they're like, "You didn't even show up to support your own dude at the Battle of Falkirk. Why the hell are we going to stand with you?" And at this moment in time, I'm sitting there and looking at the Irish guy. I would agree with the Irish person. I was like, I don't even give a shit at this point about the main hero, the main person we're trying to tell the story about. So it was really difficult for me to feel anything about this guy in this movie.
I just see you just yelling at your TV like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never take our freedom.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's a 2-hour long movie. It's free if you got Netflix. So
No.
But
No.
If you guys want to give it a watch, give it a watch. I personally think you're better off watching Braveheart.
Hey, George. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but did you see that Hey Pikachu detective trailer?
Yes.
Funny that you should say that, guys. I have the trailer here for everybody to watch.
I don't even know how to even begin to listen to this.
That looked awesome. It's going to be funny as shit.
It looks crazy. Like, I'm like, what? Is this Pikachu? What's going on?
The only thing
Pikachu, exactly.
The only thing that kind of bothered me about this is that if they were going to make a live action Pokemon movie, you would hope
I can't right now.
that you would hope that they would start from the original story with Pikachu and Ash, not starting out as like a whole other thing.
I just
listen. I'm sorry that nobody in this chat wants to be the very best. Okay,
No,
I'm
Ash
sorry.
isn't the very best. Red is, but
you're the guy that over the last couple of shows have thrown temper tantrums about remaking stuff. Pikachu is such a new movie. I can't believe you're okay with this.
well, not because it is from a game.
Because they've never made a live action Pokemon movie.
Oh my god, they've never. Oh jeez.
I gotta admit, after seeing this trailer, I would definitely watch this movie once it is on HBO or on Netflix.
No, I would say this to me. This is a theater. This might be theater worthy.
No.
Oh god.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
It's kind of funny that they decided to go ahead and make a movie off of the game because the game.
Why not? It's marketing to kids.
Received. It wasn't well received, and the game wasn't really for kids.
Yeah.
And I see some comments in the trailers like Danny DeVito's voice would have been better because Pikachu's voice was deeper.
Pikachu's voice was deeper? Wait.
Yeah,
in this video game, he actually spoke?
Yes, that's the
Oh.
There was an actual video game. There was an actual detective Pikachu video game.
All I gotta say is
See, I only know Pikachu from the TV show.
Reaction needs to be made by MCE after this is shown.
Huh?
A reaction.
You want to do a reaction trailer on this one?
Not trailer, but from the movie. You guys go.
Just a review. Just a review after it's over.
All right. I mean, the funny thing is that I hear Ryan Reynolds' voice, right? Immediately, what I think about is Deadpool. Because he even sounds like Deadpool. Me and Josh, my buddy Josh, we had a going back and forth over this. Is because he's like, all I hear is Deadpool. But then if you watch anything Ryan Reynolds has done, he's been playing Deadpool for like ever. It's just Deadpool has been amplified. But then you hear him in Pikachu, and my idea of Pikachu, is the cartoon, and he's like Pikachu, that thing, and then you hear Ryan Reynolds' voice, and I just think of Ryan Reynolds and start laughing, and the comments and the thing, it does look funny. I gotta say that.
So that's what makes it great.
It actually does look funny, and the character, like the Pikachu in the game, if I remember, is surly. So they definitely got the right person in terms of like voice acting and bringing that character out of him being surly and like, with the comebacks and everything like that.
What were we gonna say, Eric?
I said that's why I like that scene where he's like, "Hey, you can understand me, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I can." It's like, "Watch this. Can they understand me?" And he goes like, "Pika, Pika, Pika." And it was just that was
great.
I gotta see this.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that whole trailer is at the end when they're trying to get information out of Mr. Mime.
Yeah.
That shit was funny.
That was pretty funny. Yes, I agree.
But can we take a moment to say like how Charizard looks like coming at
Charizard
you?
looks
Charizard looks dope, man.
That Charizard actually looks terrifying. Like, oh no.
Let me see if I could get the
so out of this generation right now.
Speed up. To
Oh my god!
You know what this reminds me a little bit of? That N64 game Conker's Bad Fur Day, where it's like
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But then they can fuck with it a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know.
But minus the poop monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this. I don't know, Calvin. This thing does look pretty damn funny. I can say that.
I don't know, man. I am just out of my element right now. I'm out of the generation or something. I don't know, but I cannot take this serious at all. There's a Pokemon live action.
Well, maybe you should go do your homework, Grandpa.
It's not meant. It's not meant to be serious, right? And I'm not a fan of Pokemon like that. I played the little video game on the phone while I walked around and everything, but I didn't watch the cartoon.
Now this is my forum to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say I did play Pokemon. I went to tournaments. I went to comic book shops. I played. I was knee deep in it at one point, and this wasn't just when I was a kid. I'm talking about maybe about 3 years ago. I was knee deep in it. Playing
crushing
tournaments.
the 12-year-olds.
Actually, no, I was not allowed to play the 12-year-olds.
Let me at him.
I played the youngest kid I played was 16.
I can see Seth doing this. David Zarita asked if
the
we
Game
got
Boy games. I played the N64 games. I think I bought a game 3 years ago.
But I'll tell you though. But the playing the card game was actually a lot of fun. And it teaches great math skills, critical thinking. And it's great. And I mean, that's why I got into playing it, because I was, playing it with Ethan, and then Ethan just kind of like fell off of it, and I got hooked, and I just kept playing.
I mean, I'm not unfamiliar with it. I mean, I have a son who's 22 now, and he used to watch this and play this all the time. I didn't get it then, and I definitely don't.
I want to be the
I think
very
I stopped
best.
at Orange Islands. That's
no one ever
I can only watch
I
like the first two.
I did not know this. There's a Toy Story 4?
Yes,
yeah.
Zarita was asking that. Toy Story 4. The trailer came out today.
Well, it was a teaser. It was a teaser trailer.
Sorry,
teaser
trailer.
What?
The trailer
wow.
for the trailer.
Now that I can get with. I can do the Toy Story.
Yeah?
Yes.
I mean, but they ended it so perfectly. Like, he grows up and they say goodbye.
I don't need another Toy Story, man.
Like, come on, guys.
George. He mentioned Toy Story. I want to bring this up. We went to Toy Story Land last week, right?
Yes.
Right. And something happened that none of us ever realized. There's this giant size Woody, and the first thing that my friend Cody said was, "Where's his gun?" And we're like, "Oh wow, they're being politically correct." So we went and watched trailers and things from the old. He never had a gun.
Yeah, he never had
a gun.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but he would always. But one of his saying was always reach for the sky.
Reach for the sky.
He had an empty holster. I always assume I would have bet money that there was a gun in that holster.
Nah, man. But you know what he does have, right?
It never was.
A snake in his boot.
There's a snake in my boot.
There's a snake in my boot.
Yeah, I don't know that we need a part 4 of Toy Story.
I think
it's not for us.
I love Toy Story, man.
I love Toy Story too.
I'm right there with you, Calvin. We can finally agree on something.
Yeah,
Holy shit. Mark this,
go
9:53 p.m. on 11/12. Me and Calvin agree on something.
Yeah, I'll
Confirmed.
go watch Toy Story.
So
So
when it comes out though, you need to come down so we can go see it in the
we keep
theater.
saying that. We got to figure something out. One more thing, George. I sent George a text earlier, or somebody a text, or all of us, about the Loki
Yeah, the TV show.
TV show.
Yeah,
I
that
think it's
guy
a
was
little
like
bit
a what type of moment? I don't really. I don't know.
All the fangirls
does he really-
might be happy.
Does he really deserve his own TV show though?
I was surprised that they picked Loki though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you could pick a bunch of other characters.
It's fangirl service. It's not for you guys.
Girl service,
All right.
I guess.
Because it's not just about the dudes. It's also fangirl service. Out of
Yeah,
all
man.
the characters in Marvel, he's the one that has the most female fans.
He has the most female fans. More
I would say that's a
Hemsworth.
negative. I would say Thor has probably the
Yeah,
most
I would say
female fans.
Hemsworth has more.
Do you see what that man's packing? He's packing Odin's hammer, damn
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's not always that either. And yes, he does have more.
I don't know.
It's not always about the hammer, man.
I would like to see numbers here. I have to say that at Hemsworth and maybe even Evans has more.
Yeah.
They
Thank
make
you.
jokes about it on Tumblr.
You know, we got. I want to see numbers. I need proof of these statements that you're making here.
I don't know. I definitely say that if any girl is fan crazy, I would say it's definitely over Hemsworth.
Yeah, because
yeah,
guys, we're
of
kind of
course he
fan crazy
has
over him
some.
too.
But
Seeing why he's Hemsworth. Oh my
Loki
God.
has more.
Oh my
I will have another.
Yeah. Speaking of Avengers, Netflix has a Next Avengers cartoon on. Started watching that with my daughter.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's a good one.
Yeah, it looked pretty good. Yeah, it's so Ultron has I at least briefly caught the beginning because like I said, my daughter was watching and I had other things I had to do. But Ultron has killed the Avengers, the original Avengers, and at this point in time, they've all had kids. So there's a young version of Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, and then the Ant-Man. So they're the next Avengers, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Tony Stark is the only one that survived of the original Avengers.
Tony and Hulk.
And Hulk. Okay, I didn't catch that.
Oh well, yeah.
Thank you, Barbara.
That's later on in the movie. Spoiler alert.
Thank you. Barbara said it. I prefer Loki over Thor. And it's true, a lot of my female geek friends love Loki. We like Loki.
Well,
Where
if
he
you like
says,
it-
get down
sorry
and
for you
kneel.
guys.
I
You're
want
going
to
to
know
get down
why.
and kneel.
Why?
Because he's the bad guy and he lies to them. They all like bad guys.
all the girls like the bad guys.
They like tricksters.
It's because he's sultry. I like him.
What?
Sultry.
Oh my God.
It's the long hair.
Thor has long hair.
Horns.
Yeah, Thor does have long hair, right? Well, not anymore.
No. Now he looks better without his long hair.
Yeah,
But Loki looks better with it.
Hmm
that's funny. I thought about that.
Well, too bad Loki's dead and he's never ever coming back.
Listen here. Don't make me cut you.
It says, I've seen
And
Hall H videos
if
and
you
can't
go,
believe Loki
it's
has
funny
more female
because if you
fans.
go in fan fiction, it probably is the highest one.
That's funny. So
Why is Barbara Lopez saying wrong, Seth? Listen, Thor, man. Thor.
shit, I'm a fan
Loki.
of Thor.
Yeah, I think it's Thor.
Oh man.
I've seen the whole H videos and can believe Loki has more female fans.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked right now too.
I'm really shocked right now.
Hmm
Yeah.
It's not all about the muscles.
I
I
love
say-
you, Hemsworth. Just letting you know right now.
I mean, we can love both, but we
You can
like
drop
both.
Odin's hammer on me anytime.
Hey.
I mean, Seth's getting personal right there, man.
But it got destroyed by Hela, so but I'll take Hela though. I like Hela.
Gotta admit, I did not think that woman looked too hot in Lord of the Rings, but when she put on that Hela outfit, damn.
What?
You got hella
Oh
good.
hell yeah!
Saying,
Oh my god.
There was something
I
about
was
that
like, give
Hela
me a
outfit.
Hela.
You
Just
know?
got a reaction from Eric there.
Yeah, I just, it's the Marvel boot camp, man. You go to Marvel boot camp and you get sexy. That's what happens to you. You know, we all need to go to Marvel boot camp at least once in our life.
let's go.
I need to go, if that's the case, I need to go more than anybody. I got some LP shed.
It's true. Barbara mentioned it. Everyone assumes because Thor has muscles and hair, girls like him more. No, it's not true. It's not all girls have the same taste.
Not even about
It's
the
not.
muscles.
It's not what I think. I think the guy's got a great sense of humor.
I mean, you look at his face.
And
I mean,
he's got a good looking face. I agree. Them Hemsworth boys, man. You know, I don't know what happened there, but damn.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Australian
You
vigor.
just do a straight headshot, and he still wins.
know how to handle a hammer pretty well, so.
Oh my God, this is MC After Hours. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they scream for Loki like he's one of the Beatles, and it's true. It's like
I'm not gonna lie. I have seen a video on YouTube where I think he was like in a mall or
Dancing?
something. Yeah, dancing, and like all these
Yeah.
girls like, shit because he was dancing.
They lost their fucking minds.
I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, the dude's as thin as a twig. I mean, it's like, come on.
It don't matter.
If you're going to go after somebody, have some meat on the bones.
No, and if you want to go with the hammer argument, it's about the tall and skinny complex anyways.
The tall and skinny complex.
What?
Oh,
You guys don't know about that.
You lost me. Sorry.
Thor gives off the surfer airhead vibe. Yeah, a little.
No. No.
Thor 1.
Again, man, Hemsworth, if you're watching this, I apologize for the ladies that are on here right now, but we love you.
We love him, but not as much.
Oh man! All right.
Wow.
So it's 10 o'clock. You know, I can't hang out much longer, so I got to get this out. We have an announcement that we will be doing a 5K giveaway. That is going to be happening as soon as we get to 5,000 subscribers on YouTube. We do have 3 items that we're going to be giving away. So, you know, it's going to be coming here soon. I'm going to make a actual official video for you guys, but I want to let you guys know to hang out in the chats along with us about this first so that you guys know what's coming. So we have a exclusive badass pop figure that we're going to be giving away. And not going to let you guys know what that is just yet because Seth is taking care of that. Seth's going to be the one that lets us know about that. Right, Seth?
When I am taking care of that as we speak, what we are giving away will be, at least the value of it will be at least over $100.
Okay.
It definitely is something that people will be clamoring for.
All right.
Make sure it's a Thor pop.
Actually, if we want everybody to
Loki.
participate, obviously it's got to be Loki, right?
Loki now.
Actually, if you really want to get technical, I actually have the Loki, the very first Marvel pops that Funko put out were from the original Thor movie. They made a Thor and they made a Loki. I happen to have the Loki right over here sitting on my shelf. Let's
take a look.
That is a value over $100. So hold on a second. Let me pull it down.
Look at the Hulk.
$100.
Candyman rip chrome ...
No, man, no chrome. No chrome.
Hey, George, while he's saying that, I have to say, last week's What's Popping, that story with your wife and Magic Mountain.
Flash Mountain?
Flash Mountain, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That was a truthful story. That actually happened.
There we go.
Oh, there he is with the horns.
If Seth would have won, I would have stopped watching.
With the original one from the very, this is the very first Marvel pops that were put out was actually from the Thor Avengers movie.
Okay.
The Thor movie. So I have Loki, but I'm missing Thor. Thor is definitely a tough one to find in pristine condition.
Because he's wanted more by the fans. I'm just saying. Confirmed.
There you go.
No, just girls will get pillows with his face on it.
All right. Let me finish, guys. All right. So prize number 2 will be something for the collecting on a budget fans. So we have a Psylocke by Diamond Select statues. This is one that Calvin reviewed recently. Very awesome looking piece. Calvin, do you happen to have that on your table there? Because I have mine still in the box.
No, it's upstairs, it's a beautiful. Hey, by the way, the guy who did that was Alejandro Pereira, who is the same guy that did the XM, Venom statue. So he's an amazing sculptor too, by the way.
Yep, really awesome looking statue. So that's going to be the second prize. And third prize, the grand prize, is going to be the Sideshow Collectibles Batman Premium Format figure, the brand new Batman Premium Format figure, the one that I just reviewed. And I know a lot of you guys have been asking if I'm going to keep that statue, and I've been really trying to hesitant to not say what I was planning on doing with that. But yes, that will be a giveaway. We are trying to
do about sculpting the cape, though. Are you going to help them through that?
I'm actually thinking of trying to find a way, because a lot of people like the cape the way it looks. Is trying to find a way to package the cape separately from the box and then just ship in 2 boxes.
Let's up that reward a little bit, George. How about this? Whoever wins, not only do they get the statue, you will fly out to their house
and sculpt
fix it
and their cape.
Confirmed.
Yeah. We'll talk about that.
and there's a third There's a fourth gift that George hasn't mentioned yet.
There's a fourth?
Yeah, there's a fourth.
Okay.
It's going to be an evening out with me.
Oh boy. We're actually going to lose subscribers now, Seth. Stop talking. All right.
All right, everybody that's in the chat, who wouldn't want to have an evening out with me?
Barbara just said she loves it.
So you guys have the opportunity to get the Batman premium format figure for free. We are going to go and this week I'll have an official video for the 3 items, individual videos, obviously, and I'll let you guys know what the details are on how to participate and all that. But I just want to let you guys know that this is coming, and as soon as we hit 5,000 subscribers, so definitely get people subscribing, let people know about us. We really appreciate everything you guys are doing and hanging out with us, and through all of our shows and everything and all the support. It's been amazing. So it's been an amazing ride these last couple years. So I really love you guys and appreciate everything that you give us. So. Yeah. What do you guys think about all that?
You people
amazing.
All
right.
Help me get out of bed in the morning.
What's up?
I said they help me get out of bed in the morning.
They help you get out of bed.
See, Candyman saying dinner with Seth. Awesome. That's what I'm saying, dude.
Saying. You should take Candyman. If that happens, man, you should definitely take Seth to an Hispanic restaurant. He loves Spanish food.
I love LaGrange.
LaGrange.
Oh my god. That's
Well,
like, I want some arroz con gandules, con tostones y amarillos. Ay, qué rico!
I love, you know what I actually enjoy eating more than anything? I like arepas.
Arepas.
What?
All right, just cut the feed.
He means arepas.
Arepas, those are pretty good.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us for another episode of That Geek Show. We had a great show. We interviewed Mike Lent. If you guys came in late, definitely go back and check the beginning out. The guy is amazing, awesome writer of some great comics, so definitely check that out. We had a topic of Stan Lee and honor of Stan Lee. We talked about all the things that he's done and our feelings about what's happened today. And we had a lot of other topics as well. So, this show always has a lot of things. So definitely head back, check it out. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please hit subscribe, ding that bell to become part of the notification squad so you guys will be notified when we come out with another video. You can catch all of our other videos. And I'm talking Seth from What's Poppin' and all of his pop hunts, Calvin and his collecting on a budget and the other statue reviews he does, my marvelous statue reviews, and Ariel's ass-kicking unicorn video game videos at mcecentral.com, as well as a wealth of information on movies, collecting video games, and all kinds of other geek stuff. It's because that's what we like talking about.
You don't want to let people know what we got going on this week?
Thank you for interrupting me, Seth. I appreciate that. All right, Seth. Go ahead, Seth.
No, because usually you do that. So, just saying, man.
Go. Go ahead, Seth. Go.
Ay, Dios.
I don't have anything. No. No. All right, everybody. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Be sure to tune in to the latest episode of What's Popping. Also, be sure to tune in Thursday for Thursday Night Pop-Off. Does George have the cojones to make it 3 weeks in a row, which no one's done yet? So,
I think if you show up with more Chrome Pops, you're going to lose again.
Yes, he will.
Listen, I don't think it makes a difference what I show up with at this point, but, I'm going to bring some heat. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, you are a hot guy.
I am a hot guy. And then also for anybody that is in the Miami area this Sunday, I will be down at Uncle Fig's. He is doing a parking swap, and I will be there. Sergeant Funko will be there. A couple other YouTubers will be there too. So if you guys want to come hang out, look at some cool pops, maybe buy some stuff, and hang out and talk to us, please come on by.
Yep. Calvin, you got anything going on, buddy?
Yeah, man. And I am going to do my best to stay on schedule, but within the next 6 days, I've got some really cool stuff going on. And all I can say is Batman the Animated Series. And I'm not talking about just reviewing the new DVDs, Blu-rays that came out, but MCE collecting on a budget. You should see some really cool stuff happening in the next couple of days.
Cool. Very cool. Looking forward to that.
So I thought Eric was gonna be here, but he's dead. So I can't show
What is
you.
all that about?
There's a phantom. There's another ghost following me around.
I think that's Eric.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's not.
That's not you?
It's not me.
Who is it, Eric?
I don't know. I was just trying to put a dramatic angle over here, and then I start hearing voices. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
Huh. Yeah, that was
is
pretty
not
strange.
me.
That wasn't you. Okay. All right. These voices. What you got going on, Eric? Anything?
This weekend? No, not really.
No?
Probably gonna go see Seth in Miami.
There you go.
Never met him in person. I need to get a signature. I want to meet him. It's a meet and greet.
What are you talking about, man? We've met.
We talk about the
Dude, I'm trying to be. Come on, I'm selling it. Come on.
Make sure you talk about the MCE cruise in January, okay?
Oh, we got that cruise in January. We got the meet and greet in November. We got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline, guys.
No. We are not referring to the cruise as the MCE cruise. We are referring to as Calvin's Booze Cruise.
I'm okay with that. I am so fucking okay with that.
Marvelous Days at Sea. How about that?
Listen, you know I've struck a chord when I get Calvin a curse. That's all.
All right, Ariel, what you got going on? I know you got some Fallout 76, right?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be all over that. So Fallout 76 comes out this Wednesday. I'm gonna be streaming it as soon as I get up.
All right.
Pajamas and all, getting some cereal on the side and having snacks and everything. I am moving. I'm just gonna be on that till I drop. And I'm gonna be probably playing with some other streamers, so that's gonna be fun. And I'm gonna have a rematch with that Scorch Beast, cause I almost had it.
Definitely check her out on the Twitch channel, Ass Kicking Unicorn. I'll try to get some of the clips and load it up onto the MCE site, so that way you guys can get quick shots of it, and then go check out the live streams, because this girl is crazy, amazing on those games. So definitely check it out. Definitely check that out.
Your videos are magical.
Magical.
Yes.
Unicorns. We got to get an intro for you. I know we talked about it the other day, but I got to iron that out.
Yeah, I have an idea for it.
All right. So any help you guys can give me, man, that'd be great. So I need help, not just in this stuff, but mentally too. All right. So thanks, bro. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us again for all of this stuff. You guys tune in next week for another That Geek Show at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This will be the no, it won't be the last show we do before. It'll be the last show we do before Thanksgiving, but we're still gonna have another show after Thanksgiving. So see you guys next week, and until next time, guys, keep it marvelous.
Pop gods.
This guy's always got to do that shit.